So in Hawaii, we love to talk about how important ohana is, or family. How family makes it all worth it to live here. I mean, that's the reason why I moved back to Hawaii from the mainland, because I wanted to spend time with my parents and my family. But as Neil Milner points out in his recent article, ohana is not the same as community, and I'm curious as to what other people think about this, because it really got me thinking about how things are in Hawaii. Family is about your own people. It's about blood relatives, maybe Hanai family. But your community involves working with people who you see around you who are not necessarily close with you, like the auntie and uncle in the neighborhood. And I think when it comes to local culture, on the surface, it seems like family and community are the same thing, but actually there's a big distinction between the two. And maybe that distinction has always been there, but I've begun to notice it a lot more lately. That while ohana is important for us locals in Hawaii, perhaps we've been neglecting that sense of community, which is why I think some people feel like Hawaii is not the same as it used to be. Hello from Hawaii. Now, Milner cited an article in The Atlantic called The Antisocial Century, and after reading that, it really got me thinking about this difference between ohana and community. And by the way, if you get a chance to read that article by Milner or the one in The Atlantic, I highly recommend both. They're both great pieces. For the one in The Atlantic, the author talks about basically what led our society to spending less time together, despite all of the wealth and technology that we have. But there's this paragraph in the article that really stands out to me and how it applies to life in Hawaii, so I just wanted to share it. It states, home-based, phone-based culture has arguably solidified our closest and most distant connections, the inner ring of family and best friends, and the outer ring of tribe. But it's wreaking havoc on the middle ring of familiar but not intimate relationships with the people who live around us, which Dunkelman calls the village. These are your neighbors, the people in your town, he said. We used to know them well, and now we don't. The middle ring is key to social cohesion, Dunkelman said. Families teach us love and tribes teach us loyalty. The village teaches us tolerance. And so as I was unpacking this for myself, this social cohesion, I tie that more so to local culture here in Hawaii. Not native Hawaiian culture, which is a totally different topic, but you know, the local culture. I like wear rubber slippers, bruh, what's for lunch today? Bruh, you don't get cracks when you get home. Local culture. I mean, in Hawaii, I don't think there's any questioning about how strong some of those family bonds are. And even when family and friends move away, we can still talk to them and keep in communication over the phone or internet like never before. And also this sense of tribe has been made stronger. The sense of from Hawaii now can be shared online for those who have moved away or who are curious about Hawaii. But unfortunately, it's this middle ring, or what they call the village, that's becoming weaker, just as they are in other places. So it's not just exclusive to Hawaii. And I think we should really be acknowledging that, or at least be thinking about it a little bit more. Okay, now let me just give you an example. Now, small, kind of embarrassing, but I know I can't be the only one who feels this way. So sometimes when I'm catching the elevator, I rush in and I'm the guy pushing the button real fast. So yeah, you know, the person coming around the corner, they have to wait for the next elevator. Now, yes, I know I could wait an extra 5 seconds and let them catch the elevator, but something inside of me says to hurry up. Now, I know that's not very aloha, and I'm working on this. So, you know, if I hear someone and they're maybe coming, you know, I try to give them a chance. You know, sometimes I'm kind of tough. They're a slow walker or a fast walker, but you know, I'm not pushing the closed door button so I can hurry up. but where did this type of mindset come from? I mean, this wasn't how I was raised, nor is it the type of behavior that we talk about when we talk about being from Hawaii. And if I'm being honest with myself, I think it's a lack of connection to those around me, or a growing lack of connection to those around me. A lack of knowing who they are and therefore caring for those people. And maybe caring is not the right word, because I care for my fellow person, but it's more like a general friendliness because of that feeling of individualism being so strong sometimes. Now, this is just something small, and I know I cannot be the only person who fights this urge to do those types of things. I mean, Brett, I've seen those drivers on the road. Some of them are, yeah. But I think part of it is just saying hi to people in Hawaii regularly. Taking the time to talk to the auntie serving you at the restaurant, saying hi to the uncles, you know, sweeping the leaves. But it's something that I've noticed happening less and less. And maybe that's because I live in town now, and that's just like a town thing, or maybe it's an Oahu thing. Maybe it's different on the neighbor islands, or, you know, Windward Side. Maybe things are different there. Now, a coworker who moved from the mainland once asked me, why are there so many fences around people's houses in Hawaii? And I had no idea what she was talking about. But she went on to explain that she had recently moved here and she noticed that a lot of local homes have a lot of fences. Now, some of these are for practical reasons, right? Like you got to keep the dog inside. But it seems like every house here has like a fence right up pretty much to the sidewalk. And what these fences almost signal is, this is my land, this is where my stuff is, you don't get to come here. And then I remember living on the mainland and thinking about the homes there, especially in Colorado. And she was right. A lot of the homes, they didn't have fences like that. Like it was just wide open. Like you could just walk up, right up to their front door. And the dogs were all kept in the backyards. But why is this community, this sense of village, so important in Hawaii? I mean, isn't ohana enough, right? Like, isn't this idea that I'll do anything for my family, isn't that enough here? And those are wonderful things. But as the author points out, it's in the village that we practice productive disagreement and compromise. Because oftentimes you don't get to choose your village, or not everyone in the village will have the same values or look the same as you, but you still have to make it work. Now in Hawaii's history, because of the plantation days where a bunch of different races had to live and work together, they built up that village or that tribe. And maybe they didn't always agree with each other, but they had to compromise and respect each other because these are the people that you see every day. But as time has gone on and we're not doing plantations no more, maybe we've sort of lost that. That while it's true that there are no majority races here in Hawaii, we're not as mixed as we used to be. And I'm not talking about mixing as in, I'm Hawaiian Chinese, I'm Hawaiian Filipino, I'm Hawaiian Portuguese, use your library. You know, like, I'm not talking about that. And no, instead, I'm talking about the mixing of ideas by spending time with people who are different from us, who look different from us, who have different types of values that we don't necessarily get to choose, but they are still a part of our community. And so maybe the reason why things feel so different in Hawaii is because of this weakened community closeness. You know, oftentimes local people are gonna point the blame to people who move here, that they're the ones that are changing the culture, that if it wasn't for them, the culture wouldn't be changing that much. And while people who do move to Hawaii have an impact here, I'm actually starting to think maybe the cultural changes, particularly the changes related to how things have gotten worse here, maybe more challenging here, have more to do with locals, the host culture, than from the people who are moving here. So what does this all mean? Well, I don't think it means we all gotta be Mr. or Mrs. Aloha greeting everybody and giving shakas, you know, all the time. But I think what it does mean, at least for me, is that if I want to live in Hawaii where we have a strong sense of community, not just family, but community, then it's going to have to start with me. Just because the kapuna back in the day would talk story to strangers and get to know each other doesn't mean that they have to carry that torch forever. Because it's going to be my generation and future generations who are going to have to make sure that we do things that our grandparents and great-grandparents did to build the local culture to the way that it was. You know, the way that made living in Hawaii so special. And I think this is why local people have a reputation for being so friendly. I'm not talking about just the people who work at the hotels who are paid to be nice and smile. I'm just talking about everyday local people. You know, they let you merge on the freeway, they open the doors for you, you know, maybe they get extra mango and they, you know, give you some at work. Like that kind of generosity and friendliness. And all of that starts with me. I should do a better job. Not because I have a YouTube channel that really shouldn't matter. I should do a better job because I want my kids to grow up in a place that was like I remember having grown up myself. And so I've got to do a better job in a local community. Even if it's just talking story with more people or just saying hi or even just holding the elevator a little bit longer. So thanks for watching and